There's a small boy standing in front of a mirror in Gary, Indiana. He's 5 years old. The house is crowded, the walls are thin, and there's barely enough room to breathe. But in his mind, he's not in that cramped room anymore. He's on the biggest stage in the world. Thousands of people are screaming his name. The lights are blinding, the music is thunderous, and he's dancing like nobody's watching. That boy was Michael Jackson. And here's the lesson most people miss. Michael didn't wait for the stage to arrive. He didn't wait for permission. He didn't wait for the perfect conditions. He created the stage in his imagination first. Every single night while his brothers slept, he visualized, he rehearsed, he believed in a version of himself that didn't exist yet. You see, imagination isn't just daydreaming. It's not fantasy. It's the blueprint of your future. It's the architect of your destiny. Michael understood something profound. The mind doesn't know the difference between what's vividly imagined and what's real. So he practiced in his mind until his body had no choice but to follow. Think about your own life right now. Where are you? Maybe you're in a job you don't love. Maybe you're in a situation that feels too small for your dreams. Maybe people around you can't see what you see. That's okay, because your current circumstances are not your final destination. They're just your Gary, Indiana. Michael's family didn't have money. They didn't have connections. What they had was a father who pushed them relentlessly and a mother who filled them with faith. But what Michael had, uniquely, was the ability to see beyond the walls. He could close his eyes and touch a future that terrified and thrilled him at the same time. And here's what he teaches us. Never abandon the child inside you who dares to dream impossibly big. That child isn't naive. That child is prophetic. That child sees what your rational adult mind has learned to dismiss. The world will try to teach you to be realistic. The world will tell you to lower your expectations, to play it safe, to fit in. But the greatest creators, innovators, and legends never listened to that voice. They protected their imagination like a sacred fire. Because once that fire goes out, you become just another person going through the motions. You become someone who watches other people's dreams on a screen instead of building your own. Michael Jackson became the king of pop, not because he was lucky, but because he refused to let the limitations of his childhood define the possibilities of his future. Every moonwalk, every spin, every vocal run started as a thought, a vision, a whisper in his imagination that said, "You can do this, you can be this, you can create this." So ask yourself, what are you imagining for your life? Are you dreaming small because you're afraid of disappointment? Are you playing it safe because failure feels too painful? Or are you brave enough to close your eyes and see the impossible? Your imagination is your superpower. Guard it, feed it, believe in it, because everything that exists in the physical world was once just a thought in someone's mind. Your dream deserves the same respect. Powerful quote. If you enter this world knowing you are loved, and you leave this world knowing the same, then everything that happens in between can be dealt with. Let me tell you about the part of greatness nobody wants to talk about, the part that doesn't make it into the highlight reel, the part that happens when the cameras are off, when the crowd goes home, when you're alone with your craft and every muscle in your body is screaming at you to stop. Michael Jackson would rehearse a single move for 8 hours straight. Not 8 hours of dancing, 8 hours of one move, one spin, one step, one gesture, until it was so perfect that it looked effortless, until it became as natural as breathing. People saw the magic on stage and called it talent, but Michael called it something else: discipline. Here's the truth about excellence that will change your life if you let it sink in. Talent is common. The world is full of talented people who never achieve anything. What's rare, what's truly extraordinary is discipline. The willingness to show up when you don't feel like it, the commitment to practice when no one's watching, the courage to demand more from yourself than anyone else ever would. Michael's brothers were talented, his competitors were talented, but Michael had something they didn't, an almost obsessive relationship with perfection. He didn't just want to be good, he didn't even want to be great. He wanted to be undeniable, unforgettable. He wanted to create moments that would outlive him. And he understood something most people never learn. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems, your daily habits, your non-negotiables. Michael had a system. Wake up early, stretch for an hour, rehearse until your feet bleed, study the greats, watch Fred Astaire, James Brown, Jackie Wilson, break down their moves frame by frame, then create something entirely new. This is where most people fail. They want the result without the ritual. They want the applause without the practice. They want the mountaintop without the climb. But life doesn't work that way. Greatness is built in the dark, in the early mornings, in the late nights, in the moments when you're tired and sore and doubting yourself, but you do it anyway. Think about your own discipline right now. What are you committed to? What are you willing to suffer for? Because here's the reality. Everyone wants to be successful, but not everyone wants to do what success demands. Everyone wants to be in shape, but not everyone wants to go to the gym when it's cold and dark outside. Everyone wants to build something meaningful, but not everyone wants to put in the unglamorous hours of work that nobody will ever see. Michael Jackson didn't become a legend because he performed on stage. He became a legend because of what he did before he ever stepped on stage. The thousands of hours in rehearsal studios, the vocal warm-ups, the dance drills, the constant refinement of his craft. He treated his art like a sacred responsibility, not a hobby. And here's what that teaches us. If you want different results, you need different habits. If you want to be exceptional, you need to do what average people aren't willing to do. You need to fall in love with the process, not just the outcome. You need to find joy in the repetition, in the grind, in the incremental progress that nobody else notices. Discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about being persistent. It's about showing up consistently, even when you don't have the energy, even when you don't have the motivation, even when you don't have the results yet. Because discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Without it, dreams stay dreams. Michael knew that every time he stepped on that stage, millions of people were watching. Children were watching, future generations were watching, and he refused to give them anything less than his absolute best. Not because he was arrogant, but because he respected the moment. He respected the craft. He respected the people who believed in him. That's the standard. That's the commitment. That's what separates the memorable from the forgettable.
There's a powerful image I want you to hold in your mind. Michael Jackson, at the peak of his fame, sitting alone in a recording studio at 3 in the morning. The world is asleep, the phone isn't ringing, there are no interviews, no cameras, no crowds. Just him, the music, and the silence between the notes. This is where mastery lives, in the quiet, in the isolation, in the sacred space between you and your craft. Michael was one of the most famous people on the planet, but he spent more time alone than most people realize. He would disappear for months, sometimes years, working on an album, perfecting every sound, every beat, every lyric. While the world waited and wondered, he was in his creative cocoon, transforming. And here's the lesson that will change everything for you. If you want to create something extraordinary, you have to be willing to be misunderstood. You have to be willing to disconnect. You have to be willing to say no to the noise so you can say yes to the signal. In our world today, everyone is obsessed with being seen. Social media has convinced us that if we're not posting, we're not progressing. If we're not sharing, we're not succeeding. But that's a lie. The greatest work happens in private. The deepest growth happens in silence. The most profound transformations happen when nobody's watching. Michael understood that creation requires protection. You can't make art while you're performing. You can't write your masterpiece while you're distracted by applause. You can't discover your voice while you're listening to everyone else's opinions. You need space. You need stillness. You need the courage to shut the world out so you can let your genius in. Think about the distractions in your life right now. How much of your energy is being consumed by things that don't matter? How many hours are you spending scrolling, comparing, consuming instead of creating? How often do you sit in silence and actually think? Michael would spend hours just listening to sounds, to silence, to the rhythm of his own breathing. He understood that inspiration doesn't shout, it whispers, and you can only hear it when you're quiet enough to pay attention. This is especially important in a world that glorifies hustle and busyness. Everyone's running around claiming they're grinding, but they're just busy being busy. Real mastery requires you to slow down, to be intentional, to protect your mental and creative space like your life depends on it, because it does. Isolation isn't loneliness, it's incubation. It's the chrysalis phase where you're no longer the caterpillar, but not yet the butterfly. It's uncomfortable, it's uncertain. People might think you've disappeared or given up, but you know better. You're not hiding, you're building. Michael would tell people, "I live for my art," and he meant it. While others were out partying, networking, seeking validation, he was in the studio. While others were chasing fame, he was chasing perfection. While others were afraid of being alone with their thoughts, he embraced it, because he knew that's where the magic lived. The truth is, most people are terrified of silence. It forces them to confront themselves, their doubts, their fears, their unfulfilled potential. So they fill every moment with noise, with distraction, with anything that keeps them from having to face the truth. But the masters do the opposite. They seek out the silence. They create boundaries. They guard their time and energy like precious resources, because that's exactly what they are. Every hour you spend on something that doesn't serve your purpose is an hour you'll never get back. Michael's greatest albums, his most innovative performances, his most iconic moments all came from periods of intense focus and isolation. Thriller wasn't created at a party. The Moonwalk wasn't perfected in front of a crowd. These things were born in the silence, in the solitude, in the sacred space where genius meets discipline. So, here's my challenge to you. Create your own studio, your own sanctuary, a time and place where the world can't reach you. Turn off your phone, close the tabs, shut the door, and get to work on the thing only you can create. Stop announcing your plans and start executing them. Stop seeking validation and start creating value. Your masterpiece is waiting for you, but you'll only find it in the silence.
Here's a reality nobody prepares you for. The higher you climb, the more criticism you'll face. The brighter your light shines, the more people will try to dim it. The more success you achieve, the more enemies you'll collect. Not because you did anything wrong, but because your excellence makes others uncomfortable with their mediocrity. Michael Jackson lived this reality every single day. At the peak of his career, he was the most beloved entertainer on earth, but he was also the most scrutinized, the most criticized, the most misunderstood. The media twisted his words. Tabloids invented stories. People who had never met him formed opinions about who he was. His appearance, his choices, his life, everything was dissected, judged, and weaponized against him. And through it all, he kept creating. He kept performing. He kept loving. He kept giving. That's the lesson. That's the strength. That's what separates the legends from everyone else. When you decide to be great,
when you decide to live authentically, when you decide to pursue your truth regardless of popular opinion, you become a target. People will project their insecurities onto you. They'll misinterpret your confidence as arrogance. They'll mistake your boundaries for coldness. They'll criticize you for the very things that make you unique. And here's what you need to understand. Their judgment says nothing about you and everything about them. Happy people don't tear others down. Fulfilled people don't spend their time criticizing strangers. Secure people don't need to diminish someone else's light to feel worthy of their own. Michael once said that he would read the tabloids and feel hurt, but then he would go into a studio and he would create. He would take that pain, that misunderstanding, that injustice, and he would transform it into art. He would channel it into music that healed millions of people who never met him, but felt understood by him. That's alchemy. That's wisdom. That's power. Think about the criticism in your own life. Maybe people don't understand your vision. Maybe your family thinks you're crazy for taking risks. Maybe your friends have stopped supporting your dreams because it makes them feel bad about their own. Maybe strangers on the internet, people who don't know your story, feel entitled to judge your choices. Let me tell you something that will set you free. You are not responsible for their narrative. You are not required to explain yourself. You're not obligated to make people understand. Your job is to stay true to your vision, to honor your purpose, to protect your peace. Michael could have spent his entire life defending himself. He could have become bitter, angry, resentful. He could have let the judgment break him. But instead, he rose above it, not with arrogance, but with grace, not with revenge, but with forgiveness, not with hatred, but with love. Because here's the secret. The people who judge you aren't even thinking about you as much as you think they are. They're caught up in their own stories, their own pain, their own fears. Your success, your joy, your authenticity just happens to trigger something unresolved in them. That's their work to do, not yours. Your work is to keep going, to keep believing, to keep creating, to keep showing up as your authentic self even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's unpopular, even when it costs you relationships. Michael understood something profound about human nature. People fear what they don't understand. His genius was so far beyond the norm that it scared people. His kindness was so radical that people questioned it. His vision was so unique that people called it strange. But he never dimmed his light to make others comfortable. He never apologized for being exactly who he was, and neither should you. The world needs your unique voice, your unique perspective, your unique gifts. Don't let the judgment of small minds convince you to play small. Don't let the criticism of people who have never built anything stop you from building everything. There will always be people who don't get it, who don't get you, who don't see what you see. That's okay. Your job isn't to convince them. Your job is to keep walking your path with your head held high, knowing that your worth isn't determined by their opinion. Michael Jackson faced more judgment than most of us could ever imagine, and he still managed to create a legacy that will outlive all his critics. He still managed to spread more love, more joy, more inspiration than all the negative voices combined. That's the power of resilience. That's the power of self-belief. That's the power of staying true to yourself when the whole world is telling you to change.
There's a story that didn't make headlines, but it should have. Michael Jackson was on tour, exhausted from back-to-back performances, barely sleeping. Someone on his team made a mistake, a costly one. Everyone expected Michael to explode, to fire them on the spot. Instead, he pulled them aside privately and said, "It's okay. We all make mistakes. What matters is what we learn from them." That person stayed with him for 20 years. This is the Michael Jackson the media didn't want you to see. The one who visited children's hospitals without cameras,
the one who paid for strangers' medical bills, the one who brought underprivileged kids to his ranch just to give them one day of pure joy, the one who saw suffering and couldn't walk past it without trying to help. Kindness was his hidden superpower, and it should be yours too. We live in a world that worships toughness, that glorifies being savage, being ruthless, being unbothered. We celebrate people who clap back and don't take any disrespect. And while there's a time and place for boundaries and self-respect, we've lost something essential in the process, the understanding that true strength is gentle. Michael was powerful enough to be kind, secure enough to be generous, successful enough to be humble. Think about that. He didn't need to prove anything to anyone. He was the biggest star on the planet. He could have been arrogant, entitled, dismissive. But instead, he led with love. He treated everyone from the janitor to the CEO with the same respect. He remembered people's names. He asked about their families. He made people feel seen. And here's why this matters for your life. The energy you put out is the energy you get back. Not immediately, not always in obvious ways, but eventually. The universe keeps receipts. Karma is patient. And the way you treat people when you have power reveals who you really are. Michael understood that success without kindness is just noise, that fame without compassion is just emptiness, that wealth without generosity is just greed. He could have hoarded everything he earned. Instead, he gave away hundreds of millions of dollars to charity. He could have built walls around himself. Instead, he opened his heart to anyone who needed it. But here's the part people misunderstand. Kindness isn't weakness. It's not being a doormat. It's not letting people take advantage of you. Kindness is a choice you make from a position of strength. It's deciding that even though someone hurt you, you won't become like them. It's refusing to let the cruelty of the world harden your heart. Michael was hurt over and over again, betrayed by people he trusted, exploited by people he helped, lied about by people who didn't know him. And every time he had a choice, become bitter or stay better, build walls or keep his heart open, seek revenge or choose forgiveness. He chose love every single time. And before you think that's naive or foolish, let me tell you what that choice cost him and what it gave him. It cost him peace sometimes. It cost him protection. It made him vulnerable. But it also gave him a legacy that transcends music. It gave him a connection with millions of people who felt his love through his art. It gave him a life lived with integrity, with purpose, with meaning. Your kindness is your legacy. Long after people forget what you said or what you did, they'll remember how you made them feel. They'll remember if you were patient when they were struggling, if you were generous when they were in need, if you were compassionate when they were hurting. In your own life, practice radical kindness, not because people deserve it, but because you do. You deserve to live with a clear conscience. You deserve to look at yourself in the mirror and respect who you see. You deserve the peace that comes from knowing you treated people well, regardless of how they treated you. Michael would say that children taught him how to love unconditionally. They didn't care about his fame. They didn't want anything from him except his time, his attention, his presence. They reminded him that love is simple. It's showing up. It's being present. It's caring without conditions. So ask yourself, who can you be kinder to today? The person who cut you off in traffic, the coworker who annoys you, the family member who hurt you, the stranger who's invisible to everyone else. You have the power to change someone's day, maybe even their life, just by choosing kindness. Because here's the beautiful truth. When you're kind, you're not just helping others, you're healing yourself. You're raising your vibration. You're becoming the person you were meant to be. You're creating a ripple effect that touches lives you'll never know about. Michael's kindness outlived his music. His generosity outlived his fame. His love outlived his life. That's the superpower. That's the legacy. That's what the world needs more of.
Most people find one thing that works, and they ride it until it dies.
They find a formula, a comfort zone, a version of themselves that gets applause, and they never evolve beyond it. They become prisoners of their own success, terrified to change because they might lose what they have. Michael Jackson did the opposite. He became a master of reinvention. Think about this. He could have stopped after Off the Wall. That album was a massive success. He could have made Off the Wall Part 2, 3, 4, 5 for the rest of his career and still been a legend. But that wasn't enough for him. So he created Thriller, an album so revolutionary it changed music forever. And then, when everyone expected him to repeat that formula, he created Bad, then Dangerous, then History. Each album was different. Each era was a complete transformation, new sound, new style, new vision. He refused to be boxed in. He refused to become predictable. This is the mindset of greatness. Never get too comfortable with who you are, because you're capable of becoming so much more. The world wants to label you, to put you in a category, to define you by what you've already done. Society loves predictability. It makes people feel safe. But predictability is the enemy of growth. Comfort is the enemy of evolution. Michael understood that to stay relevant, to stay creative, to stay alive as an artist, he had to kill his old self repeatedly. He had to be willing to let go of what worked yesterday to discover what could work tomorrow. That takes courage. That takes faith. That takes a willingness to fail spectacularly in pursuit of something greater. Think about your own life right now. Are you stuck in a version of yourself that no longer serves you? Are you holding on to an identity, a job, a relationship, a belief system just because it's familiar? Are you playing it safe because change feels too risky? Here's the truth. Growth and comfort cannot coexist. You cannot evolve and stay the same. You cannot reach new heights while clutching old ground. At some point, you have to let go. You have to leap. You have to trust that the net will appear, or that you'll learn to fly on the way down. Michael's fearlessness came from understanding that art is about exploration, not perfection. Each reinvention wasn't about being better than before, it was about being different, about expressing a new facet of his soul. He gave himself permission to experiment, to fail, to try things that made people uncomfortable. When he shortened his pants and showed his socks, people mocked him. When he did the moonwalk, people thought it was a fluke. When he changed his appearance, people criticized him endlessly. But he kept evolving anyway, because his commitment to growth was stronger than his fear of judgment. And every time he reinvented himself, he inspired millions of people to do the same. He showed us that we're not static beings. We're not one-dimensional. We contain multitudes. We have the power to become whoever we choose to be, regardless of who we were yesterday. This is especially important in a world that tries to freeze you in time. People will say, "Remember when you used to be like this?" They'll try to hold you to old versions of yourself because your growth makes them uncomfortable. Your evolution reminds them of their stagnation. But you don't owe anyone your smallness. You don't owe anyone your old self. You are allowed to outgrow beliefs, friendships, careers, and identities that no longer align with who you're becoming. You are allowed to start over. You are allowed to pivot. You are allowed to say, "That was me then, this is me now." Michael's career spanned decades because he never stopped evolving. While other artists from his era faded into nostalgia acts, repeating their hits from 40 years ago, Michael kept pushing forward. He kept collaborating with new producers. He kept incorporating new sounds. He kept challenging himself to create something that hadn't been done before. That's the secret to longevity in any field. Stay curious, stay hungry, stay willing to be a beginner again. The moment you think you've mastered something is the moment you stop growing. The moment you think you've arrived is the moment you start declining. So ask yourself, what version of yourself are you ready to release? What old story are you ready to rewrite? What new path are you ready to walk? What would you do if you weren't afraid of failing, of being judged, of losing what you currently have? Because here's the beautiful thing about reinvention. Every time you shed an old skin, you discover a new layer of your potential. Every time you step into the unknown, you expand your capacity for greatness. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you become more fully yourself. Michael Jackson didn't just create music. He created movements. He created eras. He created moments that defined generations. And he did it by refusing to stay the same, by refusing to be predictable, by refusing to let success make him complacent. Your greatest chapter might still be unwritten. Your biggest impact might still be ahead, but you'll never discover it if you keep playing the same old song.
There's a powerful philosophy that separates the doers from the talkers, the builders from the dreamers, the legends from the forgotten. Work in silence, let success make the noise. Michael Jackson embodied this completely. While other artists were doing interviews about their upcoming albums, Michael was in the studio perfecting them. While his competitors were bragging about their work ethic, Michael was actually working. While people doubted him, criticized him, counted him out, he was in rehearsal, in the recording booth, in his creative zone, building something undeniable. He didn't argue with critics. He didn't defend his vision. He didn't waste energy trying to convince people who didn't believe. He simply worked harder than anyone else and let the results speak for themselves. And this is the mindset you need to adopt if you want to achieve anything meaningful. Stop talking about what you're going to do and start doing it. Stop seeking validation before you've earned it. Stop announcing your plans to people who don't need to know. The world is full of people with big dreams and loud mouths, but empty work ethic. They tell everyone their goals because talking about it gives them the dopamine hit without the discipline. They seek applause for intentions instead of accomplishments. They want credit for starting without ever finishing. But Michael understood something crucial. Your work should speak louder than your words. Your results should silence your critics. Your excellence should be so obvious that explanation becomes unnecessary. Think about the time you're spending right now trying to prove yourself to people who don't matter. Think about the energy you're wasting defending your dreams to people who will never support them. Think about the hours you spend on social media showcasing your process instead of actually progressing. Imagine if you redirected all of that energy into the work itself. Imagine if you became so focused, so committed, so obsessed with your craft that you didn't have time for anything else. Imagine if you stopped explaining and started executing. Michael would disappear for months, sometimes years. People would speculate, criticize, write him off. And then he'd release an album that broke every record. He'd perform a show that redefined entertainment. He'd create a music video that changed the industry. He didn't need to explain the silence. The work explained everything. Here's what most people don't realize. Every minute you spend talking about your goals is a minute you're not spending achieving them. Every post you make about your journey is energy that could go into the journey itself. Every time you seek external validation, you're giving away your power. The most dangerous thing you can do is become addicted to the appearance of productivity instead of actual productivity. Posting motivational quotes doesn't make you motivated. Talking about your goals doesn't bring you closer to them. Looking busy doesn't mean you're effective. Michael had a relentless work ethic that was almost inhuman. He would rehearse until he collapsed. He would record vocals until his voice gave out. He would review footage until his eyes couldn't stay open. And he did this not for applause, not for recognition, because excellence was his standard. This is where you separate yourself from the pack. Most people work hard when people are watching. They perform when there's an audience. They bring their A game when it matters to their reputation. But they coast when no one's looking. They take shortcuts when they think they can get away with it. They do the bare minimum when there's no immediate reward. But the masters do the opposite. They work hardest when no one's watching. They give their best effort when there's no applause. They maintain their standards even when it would be easier to slack off, because they understand that character is built in private and reputation is just the echo of that character. You don't need to post about your morning routine. You don't need to document every workout, every chapter read, every small win. Those things are for you, not for performance. Real confidence doesn't need an audience. Real progress doesn't need validation. Real greatness doesn't need permission. Michael's competitors talked about how talented they were. Michael let Thriller do the talking. His competitors boasted about their stage presence. Michael invented the moonwalk. His competitors promised greatness. Michael delivered it over and over again until it became undeniable. And when people finally recognized his genius, he didn't say, "I told you so." He didn't gloat. He didn't need to. The work had already said everything that needed to be said. So here's your challenge. Go silent for the next 90 days. Not silent on social media alone, but silent about your biggest goals. Stop announcing, stop explaining, stop seeking approval. Just work, just build, just create. And when you emerge with undeniable results, let those results be your introduction. Because at the end of your life, nobody will remember how much you talked about doing. They'll only remember what you actually did. Make it count.
There's a moment in every artist's life when they have to make a choice. When pain comes knocking, and it always does, you can either let it destroy you, or you can transform it into something that outlives you. Michael Jackson chose transformation. Behind the moonwalks, the sequined gloves, the sold-out stadiums, there was a man who carried wounds most people never saw. A childhood taken too soon, the weight of impossible expectations, the loneliness that comes with being misunderstood by the entire world, betrayals by people he trusted, media attacks that never seemed to end, personal struggles that would have broken most people. But here's what Michael did with that pain. He turned it into the most beautiful music the world has ever heard. Every note he sang carried his truth. Every lyric he wrote held pieces of his story. Songs about healing the world came from someone who desperately wanted healing himself. Songs about love came from someone who gave so much and often received so little in return. Songs about children and innocence came from someone trying to reclaim what was stolen from him. This is the alchemy of artists, healers, leaders, and warriors. They take what breaks them and build something beautiful from the pieces. Think about the pain you're carrying right now. Maybe it's heartbreak, maybe it's failure, maybe it's loss, rejection, betrayal, disappointment. Maybe it's the weight of dreams deferred or opportunities missed. Whatever it is, I need you to understand something profound. Your pain is not punishment. It's preparation. It's raw material. It's the clay from which your masterpiece will be molded. Michael didn't hide from his pain. He didn't numb it or ignore it or pretend it wasn't there. He felt it deeply, fully, completely. And then he channeled it. He gave it purpose. He used it as fuel for creation instead of allowing it to become the fire that consumed him. The song "Man in the Mirror" came from his desire to inspire change in a world that desperately needed it. Earth Song came from his grief about environmental destruction and human suffering. Childhood came from his own stolen innocence. These weren't just songs, they were pieces of his soul, his pain, his truth, packaged in a way that millions of people could relate to. And that's the power of vulnerability. When you're brave enough to transform your pain into art, whether that's music, writing, teaching, leading, or simply living authentically, you give other people permission to do the same. You show them they're not alone. You create connection in a disconnected world. But here's the part nobody tells you about this process. It requires you to stay open. to stay soft, to refuse to let your pain make you bitter, cynical, or closed off. That's the real work. Anyone can become hard after being hurt. Anyone can build walls after being betrayed. But it takes a warrior to stay vulnerable. It takes courage to keep your heart open even after it's been broken. Michael could have become bitter. God knows he had every reason to be. He could have hated the media, hated the public, hated an industry that used him. Instead, he kept loving. He kept creating. He kept believing in humanity even when humanity disappointed him repeatedly. That's not weakness. That's the strongest thing a person can do. Your pain has a purpose. It's teaching you empathy for others who suffer. It's building your resilience for bigger challenges ahead. It's deepening your art, your voice, your message. Without pain, your work would be shallow, surface level, forgettable. But when you infuse your creation with your truth, with your struggle, with your survival, it becomes timeless. Think of the books that changed your life, the songs that saved you, the movies that moved you to tears. I guarantee they came from artists who were brave enough to bleed on the page, the canvas, the stage. They weren't creating from a place of comfort. They were creating from their wounds. And that authenticity is what made their work immortal. So stop running from your pain. Stop medicating it, avoiding it, pretending it doesn't exist. Sit with it, study it, ask it what it's trying to teach you. And then when you're ready, transform it. Write about it, sing about it, build something because of it. Use it as the foundation for your greatest work. Michael's most powerful performances often came after his most difficult periods. He would take the stage and you could feel the emotion pouring out of him. It wasn't just entertainment, it was catharsis, it was healing, it was truth wrapped in art. Your pain is your power. Your scars are your story. Your struggles are your strength. Don't waste them. Don't hide them. Transform them into something that matters. Create something that will outlive you. Turn your mess into your message. Because at the end of the day, the world doesn't need more people pretending everything's perfect. The world needs more people brave enough to say, I've been broken, and here's what I built from the pieces. That's real. That's raw. That's what changes lives.
There's a scene I want you to imagine. A young Michael Jackson, maybe 8 or 9 years old, standing in that small house in Gary, Indiana. His father is yelling at him to practice, his brothers are complaining about being tired, the neighborhood kids are outside playing. But Michael closes his eyes, and in his mind, he sees something nobody else can see. A vision, a dream, a future that doesn't make sense to anyone but him. And in that moment, he makes a decision that will define his entire life. He chooses to protect that dream, no matter what. This is the final lesson, and it might be the most important one. Your dreams are sacred. They are fragile. They are under constant attack from a world that doesn't understand them, doesn't believe in them, and sometimes doesn't want them to come true. You have to protect your dreams like your life depends on it, because in many ways, it does. Michael's dream was ridiculed. People told him he was too young, too black, too different, too weird, too ambitious. His own family, as supportive as they were in some ways, couldn't fully comprehend the scope of what he envisioned. His father pushed him towards success, but couldn't see the artistry he wanted to create. The industry tried to box him in, to make him conform, to limit him to what was comfortable and marketable. But Michael never let go of his vision. He protected it fiercely. He didn't let other people's doubts become his own. He didn't let their limitations define his possibilities. He didn't let their fear infect his faith. And this is where most dreams die, not from lack of talent, not from lack of opportunity, but from lack of protection. People share their dreams with the wrong people, people who are dream killers,
People who are so afraid of their own potential that they feel threatened by yours. People who disguise their jealousy as concern. They'll say things like, "Be realistic. That's impossible. Who do you think you are? People like us don't do things like that. You should have a backup plan." And slowly, subtly, their doubt seeps into your mind. Their fear becomes your fear. Their limitations become your ceiling. But here's what you need to understand. Most people are not living their dreams. They gave up. They settled. They chose safety over possibility, and now they're projecting their regret onto you. When they tell you to be realistic, they're really saying, "I gave up on my dreams, so you should give up on yours too." When they tell you it's impossible, they're really saying, "I wasn't brave enough to try, so I don't want you to be either." Michael learned early on to be selective about who he shared his dreams with. He kept his biggest visions to himself until they were strong enough to withstand criticism. He surrounded himself with believers, not doubters, builders, not destroyers, people who said, "How can we make this work?" instead of "why it won't work." And when he did share his dreams and people laughed, he didn't defend them. He didn't argue. He didn't waste energy trying to convince skeptics. He simply went back to work and let his results do the talking. You need to adopt this same protective energy. Your dreams are not public property. You don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't need everyone's approval. You don't have to justify your vision to people who don't have vision. Think about the dreams you've abandoned because someone convinced you they were impossible. Think about the goals you've downsized because people made you feel foolish for thinking big. Think about all the times you let someone else's fear steal your faith. It stops now, today, this moment. From this point forward, you become the guardian of your own dreams. You build a fortress around them. You filter out the voices that don't serve you. You distance yourself from people who drain your belief instead of fueling it. You create a sacred space in your mind and heart where your biggest visions can grow without being poisoned by doubt. Michael faced more obstacles than most of us will ever encounter. Racial barriers, industry politics, media attacks, personal tragedies, physical pain. And through it all, he never stopped believing in his vision. He never let the external chaos disturb his internal clarity. He would lock himself in studios for weeks, months even, perfecting his craft, protecting his creative process from outside interference. He would say no to opportunities that didn't align with his vision. He would walk away from money if it meant compromising his art. He understood that not every door that opens is meant for you, and not every opportunity is actually an opportunity. Your dreams need that same level of protection. You need to be willing to say no to good things so you can say yes to great things. You need to be willing to disappoint people who expect you to play small. You need to be willing to stand alone if standing with the crowd means abandoning your vision. And here's the beautiful part. When you protect your dreams long enough, when you water them with consistent action, when you shield them from the poison of doubt, they grow. They become reality. They transform from invisible visions to visible victories. Michael's dream was not just to be famous, it was to change music forever, to break down racial barriers, to create art that would touch people's souls, to use his platform to heal the world. And he did it, against all odds, despite all obstacles, because he never stopped believing and he never stopped protecting that belief. Your dream matters. It was planted in your heart for a reason. It keeps you up at night for a reason. It won't leave you alone for a reason. It's not random. It's not foolish. It's your calling, your purpose, your why. So protect it, feed it, fight for it, work on it every single day. And when people doubt you, let them. When people laugh, let them. When people say it's impossible, smile and keep building. Because one day, when your dream becomes reality, when your vision becomes visible, when your impossible becomes inevitable, all those doubters will ask, how did you do it? And you'll smile and say, I believed when no one else did. I protected my dream when everyone else attacked it. I kept going when everyone else quit. That's the power of protected dreams. That's the magic of unwavering belief. That's the legacy of Michael Jackson, and it can be your legacy too. Protect your dreams. Your future self is counting on you.